Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunamilitanjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantam Anapeta Apeta Kutyam Rapayano Viraha Katara Ajuhava Utreti Tan Maitaya Taravo Vinedus Tam Sarvabhutam Hridayam Muni Manatusmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Bhaktya Vihina Parada Lakshay Kiptascha Kamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanada Vindam Tave Vasmi Na Jivami Tvayavina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So we begin by offering our most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved Gurus, unto Sri Guru Pada Padma Nityalila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pada Sto Tatsat Sri Simad Abhaya Chanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, and unto Sri Guru Pada Padma Nityalila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pada Asto Tatsat Sri Simad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and unto our exalted Rupanuga Varga and all the assembled Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis. So, we've been reading from the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhyakanda, chapter 12, about Jaghai and Madhai. And yesterday, or the day before, last few days, we heard the instruction of Mahaprabhu given to Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Namacharya Haridasa Thakur. And we heard something very interesting, that this order was given to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because Nityananda Prabhu is non-different from Sri Baladev, who is non-different from Sri Krishna in that identity. But also he has the additional title of Akhanda Guru Tattva. Mahaprabhu is called Mahaprabhu because he's also Guru of all. But Nityananda takes that role on in their Leela, in the pastimes. Even once Mahaprabhu becomes situated in Puri, they're always teaching lessons, right, all the way through, all the way into Antya Leela and all. But Nityananda Prabhu has taken up the mission of going all over Bengal, India, different places, actually preaching this message continually. And Namacharya, Srila Haridasa Thakur, the combined form of Lord Brahma and Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, the example of the completely tolerant and dedicated pure devotee. Lord Brahma, the father of the material universe, secondary father. Right? So, but they posed as bhikshukas, beggars. And so anybody that would offer them anything, even to the smallest degree, would get such a great benediction. So Mahaprabhu told them, the verse was, that we covered, Pratigare gare giya kara e bhiksha, bala Krishna, bhaja Krishna, kara Krishna shiksha. Go to every house and beg in this way. Chant the name of Krishna, bola Krishna. Worship Krishna, bhaja Krishna, and follow Krishna's instructions, kara Krishna shiksha. We've got to do all those things, right? They're all interdependent, synergistically connected, right? We can chant the names of Krishna, but if we're not worshiping, right, if we don't in our heart, right, then will we get the full benefit? Not the full benefit. We might get the benefit of some namabhas, but also following Krishna's instructions and worshiping Krishna. So all of those, the more we incorporate all of that. And also, we're hearing this Nam Tattva. If you really want to know about Nam Tattva, I would suggest you read chapters 23, 24, and 25 in Jaiva Dharma. 23 is all this extraordinary reference to all the verses in the Puranas and other sources extolling and defining the glories of the holy name. Oh, it's so powerful, all these verses. And then next chapter is all about Nam Aparad, what not to do and why not to do it. You know, all the subtle dangers of offenses to the holy name. And then the last, chapter 25, Nam Abbas, the semblance of the holy name, which is progressing from Nam Aparad and done correctly will lead to Shuddhanam. So after saying, right, Bola Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, and then Kara Krishna Shiksha. Yeah, right. So after that, we come to verse 10. Ihabai arana baliba balai badina aswane asi amare kohiba. Apart from this, you should not speak or have others speak anything else. At the end of the day, come and give me your report. Ooh, that's pretty strong. That's what Mahaprabhu was saying. You should not speak, and nor should you be in the presence of others who are speaking anything else. At the end of the day, come and give me your report. So don't go on Facebook and argue about politics, or this or that, thinking that somehow or other taking shelter of this demon is better than taking shelter of that demon. I mean, there's no benefit. And also, it's not our process. Let others fight that over. We're supposed to be on the level of Brahmins. We advise spiritually. And if people take it, great. If they don't, that's on them, right? But for ourselves, our duty, primarily, solely, is to God and Guru and Vaishnavas, right? So, Mahaprabhu says, apart from this, you should not speak or have others speak anything else. At the end of the day, come and give me your report. Ooh. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada says, to chant the holy names of Krishna, to serve Krishna by engaging in kirtan, and to become educated in Krishna Shiksha by being inclined to service, these are the only duties of the living entities. That's a very interesting connection. Okay, chanting the names, we can understand that. To serve Krishna by engaging in kirtan, that is the Juga Dharma, and to become educated in Krishna Shiksha, in other words, we're supposed to teach, we have to become educated by being inclined to service. So this distinguishes between scholarship and genuine realization. There are many people who can recite Bhagavatam, tell all the stories, quote Jiva Goswami, Sandarbhas, Rupa Goswami. There was one person who passed away, unfortunately for him. He's one of those persons that he should never have died because he was such an offender. And now he has to experience. And he would travel all over the world as a pseudo-devotee. And they built a gigantic temple in Vrindavan, very opulent marble. On the Bhaktivedanta Marg, if you pass by ISKCON and if you continue going toward the road towards Mathura, on the right-hand side is this massive marble temple. It took them years, all hand-carved. And huh? Yeah, Creepy Lou. His name was Kripa Lou, but he was arrested many times. He was arrested in South America for molesting children and things, and so he had to flee, big bribe, and get out of there. Anyway, he was a rascal, and he had paintings inside with himself as Mahaprabhu, But he knew he could quote Rupa Goswami backwards and forwards, right? He could quote all the scripture and manipulate it to his own purposes, right? So the only way to become really educated or realized in Krishna Shiksha, he says, by being inclined to service, humble service. And that's also important. I mean, we can't neglect that, because that really helps us progress, because that forces our false ego, our stubbornness, that from time immemorial, our disinclination to be with Krishna. You can go through the motions, and be in the company of devotees, but the real test, rubber meets the road, when you humble yourself and you do consistent, regulated service, even if you don't want to do it. We have an old saying in the Mat, if you don't like doing it, it's probably bhakti, because the mind is always rejecting, right? So if you don't like doing it, that means the mind is fighting against bhakti, So, and the more you struggle, I mean, who was the example of that? Look at, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. He created the Gaudiya Mat from nothing, from the ground up. And his disciples went out, very educated, qualified young men, going out begging. And he gave them a little box with a tiny hole in it that was only big enough for 1 paisa. And he said, go to everyone and never take more than a paisa, and distribute the little leaflets and the literature. And they would go out every day like that. Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj was a young man going out all day. One time Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was driving on his way to some meeting or other, and he saw in a little park area his young disciple in the heat of the day under a tree taking some rest, after the labors of the day, because only mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the noonday sun. And he had the little box under his head, protected like a pillow. And tears came to his eyes at the sacrifice. He said, oh, this boy came from a very wealthy home, and he's given up everything. Now he's a beggar with nothing, serving his spiritual master. And our Srila Prabhupada, what he sacrificed, he gave his very life. He had 2 heart attacks on the way over here, and came with, he had 40 rupees, but that's nothing. There's no real money there. There was no exchange. And somehow or other, just as his Guru Maharaj had built the Gaudiya Mat from nothing in India, he built ISKCON from nothing in the West. Nothing. Service. Completely giving yourself to service. This attracts and gets the mercy of Guru, of Nityananda, Mahaprabhu, all of our Guru Varga. Always think about that. Whenever your mind is thinking, oh, I'm not going to do this, oh, I don't want to do this, I don't have to do this, I want to do whatever I want to do. Just step back and try to just see yourself as a servant. What does my Guru want? What will be real service to Hari Guru and Vaishnavas? What do they want from me? What do they need from me? Okay, so to chant the holy names of Krishna, to serve Krishna by engaging in kirtan, and to become educated in Krishna Shiksha by being inclined to service, these are the only duties of the living entities. You should not beg anyone for anything other than to engage in these activities, and you should not teach anyone any other subject. For the benefit of all living entities, you should, throughout the day, beg for the alms that I have described to you. And in the evening, you should report to me. When Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj came to the West, he would say over and over, I didn't come for your money or anything like that. I was very happy in Vrindavan. For that matter, our Srila Prabhupada was very happy in Vrindavan. And he said, I've only come for one thing. I've come to beg you to hear this Harikatha, to become inspired again to practice bhakti. I've only come for your heart. nothing else. Right? So for all the benefit of all the living entities, you should throughout the day beg for the alms that I have described to you, and in the evening you should report to me. I will be greatly pleased if I know that you are trying to benefit all living entities. This is my mission. You are my right and left hands. Ooh, such a statement. And Srila Prabhupada asked the same thing from his disciples. And those that took it up got tremendous power and capacity and facility to do that service. He infused them with it. It was quite remarkable to see what they were able to accomplish just by, it's described like running with eyes closed, hands wide, full faith, not caring what, the ground is even or uneven, that I might stumble, just running ahead, following the order of Sri Guru. Then he goes on to say, Mahaprabhu, Tomara korile bhiksha yena baliba, tabe ame chakrahaste sabare katiba. I will take up my chakra and cut off the heads of those who will not chant after being requested by you. And he almost did. This is his mood. He's so devoted to his servants that I will do anything. And, so Saraswati Prabhupada says, quote, I will destroy that person who becomes inimical to your request for alms by giving him unlimited misery. What does that mean? Repeated birth and death. That's unlimited mercy. You don't even have to say the lowest planets, some of the hellish planets that are so horrifying, just to be born in this world and have to go through this over and over with no knowledge, with no idea of the opportunities for the living entity, to be confined to this world and its paltry pleasures. That is such torture. That's unlimited misery. So Saraswati Prabhupada says, many people contemplate as follows. Being most merciful, why has the Lord created the cruel misfortunes in this world? The verse, Tat Te Nukampam, this was spoken by Lord Brahma after he had stolen the cowherd boys and the calves, and then Krishna had replaced them by his own expansions, and Lord Brahma saw this incredible display of mystic power and became greatly humbled and offered this series of remarkable prayers. These prayers in that 14th chapter of the 10th canto are quoted in many, many places, and this is one of the most famous ones. Tate nukampam su samikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam hidvag vapubir vidadam namaste jivete yo mukti padesa daya bak. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reaction of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisance with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. That's the 8th verse of that 14th chapter. So this is the appropriate answer to this question. If a living entity who is averse to Krishna spends his days in material endeavors, then in accordance with the laws of material world, he will achieve miseries for cessation of his material existence. And we also can think that same way. Because once you take up bhakti, once you begin to chant even Namabhas, then prarabdha karma, which is the manifestation of previous karma in the form of your body, your mental condition, your inclination towards this or that, and different things that are supposed to come to you, pain and enjoyment. That's prarabdha karma, right? Namabhas destroys all that. So why do we get it? If you're chanting Namabhas, why do you get it? This is discussed in the 6th canto, in the 2nd chapter, when the Vishnu Dutas and the Yamadutas are discussing the fate of Ajamil. And And then in commentary, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj has also explained that the Lord himself will give a semblance of karma. And it's also Madhurya Kadambini that this point is made. So that soul who's begun to chant the holy name can continue to practice bhakti, because if all your prarabdha karma is destroyed, that's factually liberation. And when you leave this body, you become liberated, and you won't have a body, but you won't get Vaikuntha because you haven't cultivated any kind of bhakti or prem. What to speak of Goloka Vrindavan Vaikuntha. So a semblance of that karma is given, so that you go through things and you struggle and you continue to strive for higher and deeper purification, right? And the cultivation of the moods of love and affection. This is what happened to Ajamil. After hearing the instructions, the Shabda Brahm from the mouths of the Vishnu Dutas, because he didn't know that he was chanting the holy names of the Lord, but he heard their instruction to the Yamadutas, then he was given his body back. He was supposed to be pulled out of his body because his accumulation of sinful activities was so much that he had to leave it. He was supposed to leave at that time and suffer. But because he had been chanting Nama Bas, his life was extended. And he left everything at that point and went to Hardwar and perfected his chanting. And then at the end of that lifetime, went to Vaikuntha. So to go to Vaikuntha, not as difficult. You can do that in a single lifetime. But to go to Vrindavan, or even to go to Dwarka, I mean, look what Gopakumar went through. How many lifetimes and situations did Gopakumar experience on his travels before he got to even Dwarka and then Vrindavan? For our path, it may require a number of lifetimes, even in the stage of Bhav. But living in that stage of Bhav, life after life, you are cultivating such refined sentiments and realization, and you are fixed in a very high grade of bhakti, so there's no real material suffering in that state. It's just a very deep sense of devotion and determination. So no harm. And then even achieving Vastu Siddhi and going where Mahaprabhu is and where Krishna is, you may come back and assist our spiritual masters in their mission. That may be what happens. Many devotees are hoping for that, and that's quite appropriate. So then Mahaprabhu, Agya Shuni Hatse Sabha Vaishnava Mandala Anyata Kodite Agya Kada Achebala. On hearing the order, all the Vaishnavas laughed. Who has the power to transgress his order? His order is such that even Nityananda carries it on his head. Anyone who does not believe this is not very intelligent. If one serves Advaita but does not accept Chaitanya, then Advaita will destroy him without remorse. Purport. Those mortal beings who give up Sri Chaitanya Dev's path of devotional service and place their faith in Advaita Prabhu's bewildering materialistic Mayavad philosophy will be destroyed when Advaita Prabhu invokes his form as Rudra. The followers of Sri Chaitanya become situated on the path of devotional service after realizing their constitutional position as infinitesimal sparks of the Supreme Spirit. And the impersonalists who are averse to Chaitanya become eager to reject the Lord's service, being bound in Sri Advaita Prabhu's network of illusion. Fortune is the controller of one's auspiciousness and inauspiciousness. The reason for this is that conditioned souls who are whimsical due to misuse of their independence achieve aversion to the Lord's service, while proper use of their independence makes them eligible to approach the lotus feet of the Lord. in that beautiful song we often quote, Shruno He Rasika Jana by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, when that living entity, through determination and faithful practice of Bhakti Bhakti, continues in that way, the Lord becomes pleased with them and bestows upon them the gift of Rag Bhakti and the jewel of independence. Because in Rag Bhakti, you get even more independence. Right now, our independence is how to accept or reject the principles of Vaidhi Bhakti. And we do a lot of rejecting, right? But when you have passed through the stages of Nishta, where you're very fixed and determined, controlled by your purified intelligence, and then you enter into Ruchi, where real taste for the holy name and for the limbs of Bhakti develops. And by that, one is galloping in Bhakti and develops very deep attachment to the object of bhajan. Right? Then one's heart becomes filled with so much love and affection that one can cross into the realm of Ragmarg. And that's sometimes misunderstood because it's translated loosely as spontaneous devotion. But spontaneous in what way? What does that spontaneity entail? It means not only enthusiasm to serve in a general way, because we all have that, garala tarala, sometimes we're enthusiastic, sometimes we're not, thick and thin. But it means attracted in a realized way to a very particular kind of service to please Krishna. It's an awakening of one's dormant inherent nature or swarup. And concomitant with that is a desire to serve under the guidance of a particular devotee who has that service already, right? Like we were using that word the other day, Yuteshwari. In the association of the Brajadevis, there are so many different groups of young gopis who serve in different capacities, and each group is headed by a group leader, a Yuteshwari. And the cowherd boys are similarly divided. And you will take enthusiastic guidance from particular devotees. You'll be attracted to them, and they become like guru, but guru in a very different way. Not in this world, guru, the relationship is generally one of awe and reverence, as it must be. But when you become realized and advanced in bhakti, then you come into what's called a special kind of guru seva, Vishrambena Guru Seva, which is service done very intimately with deep affection, where in fact the desire of guru and your desire are one. There's no difference because you're sharing a mood and you're taking guidance from that perfected soul how to serve in that way. So you naturally have great affection and attachment because that person is making your connection with Radha and Krishna possible, connecting you with their service. And so they're so dear to you, more dear than your very life, right? So, the conditioned souls who are whimsical due to the misuse of their independence achieve aversion to the Lord's service, while proper use of their independence makes them eligible to approach the lotus feet of Krishna. So we're always striving for the proper use of our independence. We should check ourselves, regularly throughout the day. When our mind tells us to do this or not do that, who's giving the order here? Right? Whose desire are we following? Are we following the desire of our guru, or are we just surrendering to our weak and useless minds? Right? So Sadhu Prabhupada says, every morning when you wake up, beat the mind with the broom 100 times. And throughout the day, keep that broom in your hand, Chunk, chunk. So then, Agashire kore Nityananda Haridas Tattakane Chalilena Pate Ashihas. Accepting the Lord's order on their heads, Nityananda and Haridas smiled and immediately went out on the street. Okay, we have the order. What could be more wonderful than that? Right? That's the idea, if Guru ever tells you, I'm giving you an order, you should dance with joy. Gurudev, Srila Vaman Raj, some of the others, they generally did not give direct orders. Because if they did, and you didn't do it, that's neglecting the order of the spiritual master. So to be given an order, that's a very wonderful thing, right? Or if you hear the desire of Guru, Manobishta, and you take it up, oh, that's the same. You've understood. The Manobishta of Guru is the secret desire of the Guru. It's their secret order. And they only give it to qualified people, so that awakens in your heart that inspiration. Oh, so fortunate. So fortunate. So being ordered by the Lord, the two went door to door and requested everyone, chant the name of Krishna, Bala Krishna, Gao Krishna, Bhajaha Krishnare. Chant the name of Krishna, sing the glories of Krishna, and engage in worship of Krishna. So now there's going to be some description of them going here and there. So this will be a good place to stop, because we'll want to talk about that. There's purports that illuminate these statements they're preaching, and we'll want to spend a little time on these purports. So we will stop here and very eagerly await further instruction from our Parama Gurudev, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, and the inspiration of our Diksha Guru, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and our Shiksha Guru, Sannyas Guru, non-different, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and praying to our Guru Varga and all the merciful devotees to bless us in this way. Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.